When I arrived for our family trip, my room wasn't booked. I asked my brother, he said, "We thought you'd cancel last minute, like always." My mom just smiled and said, "It builds character." I slept in the hotel lobby. Days later, my brother called me screaming. I never liked family trips. That's probably not the best way to start this, but it's the truth. There's just something about being trapped in a hotel with the same people who once locked you in the dryer when you were 8, that kind of chaos, the vacation vibe. Still, when my mom invited everyone to a big family getaway in Asheville, I said yes. I said yes because I was tired of being the one who always said no. The one who flaked out. The one they stopped expecting to show up. It was supposed to be a fresh start. A chance to reconnect, to show them I'd changed. I drove 7 hours straight from Charlotte. The old Toyota pickup rattled most of the way, but it got me there. I pulled into the Ridgeview Lodge parking lot just as the sun dipped behind the mountains, casting that soft orange glow that always made me feel like maybe things would be okay. Inside, the lobby smelled like cedar and citrus. A fake fireplace glowed in the corner. It looked cozy, promising. I wheeled my duffel bag up to the front desk, gave the young woman behind the counter my name with a smile that felt too hopeful, and waited while she tapped away at her keyboard. She frowned. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't see a reservation under that name." I blinked. Try Vincent Hill. Or maybe under my mom's name, Elaine Hill. More typing. More frowning. "There's no room booked for Vincent Hill." I laughed, short and confused. That can't be right. My family booked this week ago. She gave me that tight, polite smile people give when they don't want to be the one to tell you your life's falling apart. "Maybe one of them has your key?" she offered. I turned and saw them. My brother Wesley, my sister Brenna, their spouses, even mom, already checking in, laughing, handing over credit cards, and collecting their keys like nothing was wrong. Like they hadn't just forgotten me. "Wes," I called out, wheeling my bag toward him. He looked up from his phone, eyebrows raised like I was interrupting something important. "Hey, you made it." "Yeah." Apparently, my room didn't. He glanced at our mom, then back at me. "Oh. Yeah, we thought you might cancel at the last minute. You know, like usual." He actually said it like that. Casual. Like I was the unreliable uncle who occasionally sends a Christmas card from rehab. My mom stepped forward and touched my arm lightly, like she was doing me a favor. "It builds character, Vincent," she said with a smile. "Builds character." Like I was a 12-year-old Boy Scout who forgot his tent. "I'll just figure something out," I muttered, too stunned to push back. I stood in the lobby for another 10 minutes, trying to get someone to say, "Just kidding. Here's your key." But it never came. So I slept on the leather couch in the corner of the lobby that night. And the next night. And the night after that. The first night was the worst. The couch was narrow. The light stayed on all night, and some guy with a hacking cough kept walking past to get ice from the vending machine. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if maybe I did deserve this. Maybe I had flaked too many times. Maybe they had a point. But the thing is, I'd changed. I wasn't that guy anymore. I stopped drinking. I got therapy. I took on every job I could to make ends meet. I showed up to Sophie's piano recitals, even the boring ones. I'd done the work. I was trying. And they still left me off the reservation list. The second night, while brushing my teeth in the public bathroom near the vending machines, I overheard Brenna talking to her husband Todd. "He always wants to be the victim," she said. "You'll see. He's gonna tell everyone he slept in the lobby and make it this huge sob story." Todd chuckled. "Well, he did sleep in the lobby. I knew he'd show," she added. "He can't help himself. He needs drama." I froze in front of the mirror, toothbrush halfway to my mouth. That's how they saw me. Not as a brother. Not even as a man trying to fix his life. Just a sad cliché looking for attention. I rinsed, spat, and walked back to my corner of shame. The one bright spot in all of this was Sophie. She showed up on day 2, rolling her little carry-on with stickers of cats and space aliens. "Dad!" She ran over and hugged me hard. I felt everything in me unclench. "Where's your room?" she asked. I hesitated. Funny story. I tried to make it sound like a choice. Like I decided to sleep in the lobby because the mountain air did wonders for my back. She wasn't buying it. "Aunt Brenna said you're staying downtown," she frowned. "Yeah, downtown lobby." She sat beside me on the couch and pulled out a bag of trail mix. "You want some?" We shared a trail mix in silence. It was the first time all trip I felt like a human being. Monday morning. I was about to head out for a hike with Sophie when my phone rang. "Wesley," I answered, expecting the usual fake brotherly banter. Instead, I got pure rage. "Are you out of your goddamn mind?" I blinked. Good morning. Don't screw with me, Vincent. You think I wouldn't figure it out?" Someone sent an email to my boss. From my account. With financial documents. I paused. "What kind of documents?" Bank statements. Transfers. Accusations of embezzlement. What? Don't play dumb. You've always resented me. You finally snapped. Wes, I swear to God, I didn't send anything. I've been sleeping in the goddamn lobby. Click. He hung up. I stood there, heart pounding, while Sophie looked up at me, wide-eyed. What's wrong? Nothing, sweetheart. Just work stuff. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. Not just because of the couch. I couldn't stop thinking about the email. The documents. The way he jumped to blaming me without hesitation. Like he'd been waiting for a reason. The next day, I drove home early. As soon as I got back, I checked my mailbox. Bills, junk, coupons, and one unmarked envelope. Inside were photocopies of financial statements. Wesley's name, account numbers, large transfers from an estate fund I didn't recognize, and a note in tight handwriting, he's not who you think he is. I sat at the kitchen table for hours, staring at the papers. None of this made sense. The photocopies didn't make sense at first. I'm no financial genius, but even I could see the pattern. Monthly withdrawals, some as small as $800, others upwards of $6,000. All from what looked like a trust account with our dad's name on it. Our dad passed away 6 years ago. Left behind a modest estate, some life insurance, a paid-off cabin in Lake Lure, and a joint account he and my mom used for emergencies. As far as I knew, that money had been evenly split. But according to these documents, Wesley had been withdrawing funds quietly from a secondary account, one I never even knew existed. My hands started shaking. Not from anger, not yet. Just confusion. That kind of dizzy, heavy feeling you get when you realize there's a whole part of a story you weren't told. I pulled out my phone and called my mom. She picked up on the third ring, her voice cheerful. Vince, I was just thinking about you. How was the rest of the trip? I didn't waste time. Did Dad have a second account? Silence. Not a pause. Silence. Why are you asking me that? She said carefully. Because someone sent me papers. And it looks like Wesley's been draining it for years. Oh, Vincent. Her voice dropped, suddenly tired. Don't go digging into things that'll just make you bitter. So it's true. I didn't say that. But you didn't deny it. She sighed. Your father set up that account with Wesley before he passed. It was supposed to be for emergencies. For family needs. Family needs, I repeated. Then why didn't I know about it? Why wasn't I given access? Because Wesley was in a better place to manage things back then, she said. You were struggling. I wasn't stealing. Another pause. It wasn't stealing, Vincent. He was helping. Helping himself? Now she was angry. Don't twist this. You weren't around. You disappeared for years. Wesley picked up the slack. He paid for Brenna's kids' tuition, he covered the taxes on the cabin, you all knew. I wouldn't say I knew exactly. I hung up. Not slamming the phone angry, but numb. Hollow. The next morning, I drove to Brenna's house. She opened the door in yoga pants and a messy bun, holding a green smoothie. Typical suburban warrior outfit. Her husband Todd was in the living room, half watching golf. Wow, she said, leaning against the doorframe. To what do I owe the pleasure? We need to talk. She stepped aside, motioning me in. I dropped the envelope on the kitchen counter. She didn't open it. She didn't have to. I take it you've spoken to Wesley, she said. Don't play dumb. This came from your house. The email to Wesley's boss was sent from your IP address. She blinked. Not surprised. Not embarrassed. I told you he'd throw you under the bus, she said softly. You didn't believe me. You framed me. I protected you, she snapped. If you'd sent that email, they'd never believe you weren't trying to ruin his life. But if someone else did it, anonymously, they'd have to look at the evidence. I stared at her. You wanted him exposed, I said. But you made me the scapegoat. You're the only one who'd ask questions. Jesus, Brenna. She sat down at the table, finally looking tired. He's been lying to all of us. To you. To me. To Mom. He's been pulling money for years, and when I asked him to stop, he threatened to cut me off too. Cut you off from what? The same trust. He said if I didn't shut up, he'd tell Mom I was trying to screw him over. Said I was too emotional. Like I'm unstable or something. Why not go to the police? She laughed, bitter and hollow. You think they'd believe the woman with anxiety meds and a rocky marriage over St. Wesley? The one with the lake house and perfect credit. So you blew it up. She shrugged. You were already on thin ice. What's one more accusation, right? You don't get to make that decision for me. I did what I had to do. You used me. She didn't respond. That night, I got a call from Sophie's mom, Dana. We haven't had the smoothest relationship since the divorce, but we keep it civil. Mostly. Hey, she said. Did something happen? I rubbed my eyes. Define something. Sophie came home talking about Wesley screaming at you. And that you're being accused of a crime. She's not supposed to hear about this. Well, she did. She's worried. And honestly, so am I. I didn't do anything. Okay, Dana said. But maybe it's time to stop pretending this family doesn't leave bruises. I didn't know what to say to that. Because she was right. Wesley sent me a text the next day. You're going to regret this. That's all it said. No explanation. No denial. Just a threat. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the screen. I wanted to call him, to scream, to demand he admit what he did. Instead, I forwarded it to my lawyer. Yes, I got a lawyer. Because if I was going to be dragged through the mud, I might as well go in wearing armor. Sophie started asking more questions. Why is Uncle Wesley mad at you? Why did Grandma say you twist stories? Are you okay? That last one almost broke me. I sat her down and told her the truth. Not every detail. Not about the trust fund or the email or the betrayal. Just the truth that mattered. People make mistakes, I said. Sometimes, people don't tell the whole story. And when someone tries to fix it, the people who are scared of the truth get angry. She nodded slowly, but I could see it in her eyes. That deep, early sadness kids shouldn't have to feel. You're not going to jail, right? No, honey. I'm not. She leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, Good. A week passed. Then another. The investigation into Wesley's finances went quiet, but the tension didn't. Mom stopped calling. Brenna texted once to say, Let me know if you need help explaining things to Sophie. I left it to read. I was alone again. But this time it felt different. Not like abandonment. More like detachment. Like I was finally standing in the eye of the storm. Waiting. Watching. Something was coming. And I wasn't going to blink this time. Another week passed. The silence from Mom wasn't just quiet. It was loud in its own way. You know that kind of silence? The kind that hums? It's not that she was ignoring me. It's that she'd chosen a side without saying a word. I tried to pretend it didn't bother me. That I was too old to care about parental favoritism. But the truth? I was 43 years old and still wanted my mother to believe me. To choose me for once. Wesley was doing damage control, or so I heard. He told the rest of the family that I was acting out because I'd never accepted Dad's death. That I was jealous of his success. That I'd always been a little unstable, emotionally unpredictable was the term, apparently. Brenna didn't say much. I guess after throwing the grenade, she decided to hide in her bunker. But the fallout didn't slow down. Not with the email floating around and the trust account details now in the hands of my lawyer. I still hadn't confronted Wesley directly. Maybe I didn't want to. Maybe I knew if I looked him in the eye, I'd either punch him or break down, and neither option felt good. One night, after Sophie went to bed, I sat out back with a beer in one hand and my phone in the other. I wasn't drinking much these days. Therapy helped with that, but something about the weight of everything made the beer feel like armor. Like if I held it, I wasn't fragile. I scrolled through old family photos, birthdays, cookouts, Christmas mornings. There was Wesley in his STPID matching pajamas, holding his golden retriever and grinning like the damn poster child for doing it right. There was Mom, holding Brenna's newborn like it was the second coming, while I sat in the corner of the frame, barely in focus. And there was Dad. God, I miss that man. He didn't say much, but when he did, you listened. He was the only one who ever told me he was proud of me. Not for anything huge, just stuff like fixing the leaky sink in his bathroom without being asked. For not quitting when the HVAC business nearly tanked. For taking Sophie camping even though I had no clue how to set up a tent. I stared at one picture in particular. Dad and me, sitting on the porch at the cabin in Lake Lure, both of us holding mugs of black coffee. No smiles. Just quiet. Comfortable. Like we understood each other without needing to talk about it. What would he think now? About Wesley? About the money? About the way Mom stood back while his name got dragged through all of this? I didn't have the answers. But I knew I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I finally decided to go see Wesley. I didn't call first. I didn't want to give him a chance to prepare some speech or vanish behind his assistant's excuses. I just showed up at his house around 6:30 p.m., when I knew he'd be home from work. His wife, Simone, answered the door. She looked surprised but not unkind. Vincent. Hi, she said cautiously. Is he home? She hesitated, glancing over her shoulder. Yeah. He's in the den. Mind if I come in? Another pause. Then she stepped aside. Wesley was on the couch, drink in hand, watching something on Bloomberg. Classic. When he saw me, he didn't flinch. Just muted the TV. Well, look who decided to rise from the ashes. I stayed standing. You framed me, I said. No warm-up. No small talk. He blinked. Excuse me, don't insult me with confusion. You sent an email from your account to your boss, right? But someone else actually sent it, using your IP. From Brenna's house. His mouth tightened. I didn't frame you. I assumed you did it. You wanted me to be the one who did it. You needed someone to take the fall so your house of cards wouldn't come down. He scoffed. Don't be dramatic. I'm being real, Wesley. You stole money from Dad's estate. Lied to Mom. Lied to me. And you've been doing it for years. I didn't steal anything, he said, standing up. That money was there for the family. I used it for the family. Who decided that? You. I was the executor, Vince. I had the right. No, you had the responsibility. And you upset it. His jaw clenched. I picked up the pieces when you couldn't. I covered the taxes on the cabin. Paid for Brenna's mortgage when Todd got laid off. I kept things afloat while you were off playing woe is me. I was rebuilding my life, I snapped. You never gave me a chance. You just cut me out. Because you were a mess, he said, voice rising. And no one wanted to deal with the mess. There it was. The real reason. The unspoken truth. I was the family's burden. The inconvenience. The one they had to explain away. You think you're the only one who's struggled? I asked. I didn't have your perfect job. Your golden boy reputation. But I never took what wasn't mine. Simone stepped in then, awkward and clearly uncomfortable. Maybe this isn't the time. No, let him talk, Wesley said, eyes still locked on me. Go on, Vince. Get it out. You're not the guy Dad thought you were, I said quietly. You're not the man you pretend to be. He didn't say anything. Didn't deny it. Didn't apologize. I turned to leave. As I reached the door, he called out, You're going to regret digging this up. I paused, hand on the knob. I already regret not digging sooner. I didn't sleep that night. My mind wouldn't stop. Every conversation replayed like a scratched CD. Mom's deflections, Brenna's manipulation, Wesley's arrogance. I sat on the edge of my bed, looking at a photo of Sophie on the nightstand. And I made a promise right there in the dark. No more second guessing. No more silence. I was going to finish this. Not for revenge. For the truth. And for Sophie. The next few days were quiet, in the kind of way that feels more like waiting for a shoe to drop than peace. I'd expected some sort of reaction after confronting Wesley. A call. A text. Maybe even another threat. But there was nothing. Not from him. Not from Brenna. And especially not from Mom. It felt like I'd been silently disowned. No announcement. No family meeting. Just this cold, suffocating exclusion. A few mutual relatives, mostly cousins, started uninviting themselves from conversations, leaving messages on read or replying with stiff, hope you're well texts. One even wrote, This sounds like a private matter, man. Maybe best to leave it in the past. Sure. Let's just leave 6 figures of stolen inheritance and a blown-up family in the past. Great plan. I didn't care so much about the money anymore. Maybe at first I did. But after everything I'd uncovered, the money felt secondary. What hit hardest was the way everyone had already built their version of the story, and in that version, I was always the screw-up. The problem? I was driving Sophie to school one morning when she spoke up from the passenger seat. You know what Grandma told me? She asked, swinging her backpack strap in her hands. What? She said grown-ups sometimes fight because they don't know how to talk about feelings. I tried not to grip the steering wheel too tightly. When did she tell you that? Last weekend. When I stayed over. I asked her why no one talks to you anymore. I glanced over. She was watching me, not with judgment, but that quiet curiosity kids have. Like they're trying to solve a riddle with no real answer. And what did you say? I asked. She shrugged. I told her I didn't think you were the one who started the fight. You just said something everyone else didn't want to hear. I had to swallow a lump in my throat. She said you've always been sensitive, Sophie added. But that's not a bad thing, right? No, I said softly. It's not. Later that week, I got an email from a lawyer representing the estate. Not mine, Mom's. Apparently, Wesley had formally raised concerns about my behavior and the stress I was causing the family. There was a passive-aggressive suggestion that I withdraw any claims I had about financial mishandling. I stared at the screen for a full 5 minutes before I could stop laughing. They were actually trying to intimidate me with legalese now. Like I was going to tuck my tail between my legs and back off because they put it in a PDF. I forwarded the email to my attorney with a note that just said, Is this a joke? She responded, No, but it's desperate. Which is a good sign for us. It was Brenna who broke the silence first. One Thursday afternoon, she showed up at my place unannounced. I opened the door to find her standing there, arms crossed, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Can I come in? She asked, eyes darting past me. I nodded and stepped aside. She didn't sit. Just stood near the kitchen island, shifting from foot to foot like she was waiting for someone to yell at her. I didn't expect it to blow up this fast, she said finally. You mean framing me? I told you I didn't mean for you to get blamed. I just wanted to scare him. Make him sweat. Well, he's sweating. And now he's trying to sue me for emotional harm. Her eyes widened. What? Lawyered up and everything. Trying to make me drop the case. She looked down, jaw clenching. I didn't think it would go this far, she muttered. You lit the match, Brenna. What did you think would happen? She looked up, and for the first time in a long time, I saw it, real guilt. Not the performative kind. The kind that creeps into your eyes when you realize you burned something that mattered. Do you know how much I covered for him over the years? She said. Mom's credit card bills, the repairs on the cabin, the mortgage on the house in Raleigh he bought and flipped under an LLC with Todd's name on it. Half the stuff he did wasn't even legal. Then why help him? Because I thought I owed him. Because he helped me once years ago when Todd was in trouble. Because I thought that's what family does. We cover. We swallow things. We don't air it out in court. Well, I'm done swallowing, I said. And if he thinks threatening me will work, he picked the wrong version of me. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, what if I gave you something? Something real. I raised an eyebrow. Like what? Emails. Screenshots. Transfer records. Stuff you don't have. I stepped closer. Why? Because I'm tired of being complicit, she whispered. The next day, a USB drive showed up in my mailbox in an unmarked envelope. No note. Just the drive. I plugged it in with trembling hands. Inside were dozens of files. PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, email threads. One file stood out, a folder labeled LLC_side accounts. It took my breath away. Everything was there. Bank transfers from the estate account to a shell company Wesley created 2 years after Dad died. Payments to contractors. Real estate deals. It was sophisticated. Deliberate. Pre-planned. He hadn't just helped the family. He'd built a second income stream using money that didn't belong to him. My lawyer called me the next morning, breathless. This changes everything. I sat on the porch, Sophie playing in the yard with her bike, and I just stared out into the neighborhood. It was all unraveling. And for once, I wasn't the one holding the threads. I met with my lawyer that Monday in her office downtown. Small place, wood-paneled walls, faint smell of instant coffee and stress. She'd gone through every document on the USB drive. Twice. You've got him, she said, flipping a page toward me. It's rock solid. Not only was he using the estate funds without authorization, but some of these transfers violate state laws about trustee responsibilities. He can't just claim he didn't know. This was deliberate. I exhaled, shoulders slumping with a weird mix of relief and dread. So what now? Well, she said, leaning forward, you've got options. We can press criminal charges, go public, burn the bridge down completely. But you don't strike me as the burn it all down type. She was right. I didn't want chaos. I didn't want handcuffs and mugshots. I wanted something cleaner. Something that left no ashes behind. I just wanted to be free of it. And make sure they could never twist the story again. We drafted a settlement proposal, one that gave me my full share of Dad's estate, plus a formal agreement that removed Wesley from all financial responsibilities connected to the family trust. No hush money. No sealed documents. Everything on record and traceable. But before filing it, I did one thing first. I called a family meeting. At the cabin. Dad's cabin. I didn't think they'd all come, but they did. Wesley. Brenna. Mom. Even Simone showed up, arms folded tight like she was bracing for a storm. The cabin looked exactly how I remembered it. Wood walls, lake peeking through the trees, porch chairs a little rusted but still sturdy. Dad's old flannel is still hanging on the wall. I stood on the porch while they sat in a half circle, the air tense. Before I show you what I have, I said, voice steady, I want to say something. They looked up. I never wanted this to turn into war. I didn't want lawyers. I didn't want Sophie dragged into the middle. I just wanted to be treated like family. I looked at Mom when I said that. Her eyes darted away. But when you assume someone will always stay quiet, you start to take things from them. You stop asking. You stop caring. And eventually, they stop forgiving. I pulled the printed documents from a folder and set them on the table in the middle of the room. Everything Wesley did is here. The transfers. The LLC. The fake invoices. The estate violations. Mom looked pale. Brenna didn't blink. Wesley opened his mouth, but I held up a hand. I'm not pressing charges, I said. I could. You know I could. But I'm not. Instead, here's what's going to happen. I slid the settlement papers across the table. You sign this. You return what you owe. You step away from managing anything connected to Dad's name. And you don't say a word about me to Sophie or anyone else ever again. Wesley stared at the pages, jaw tight. If you refuse, I added, I will go public. Every file goes to your employer. Your clients. The state. I have nothing to lose. But you? You'll lose the reputation you've spent your whole life polishing. He didn't say a word, but his hand trembled as he picked up the pen. He signed. So did Mom. Brenna. All of them. I had what I came for. It didn't fix everything. Not immediately. Wesley stopped returning my calls, which was fine by me. Mom sent a long handwritten letter 2 weeks later. It didn't include an apology, but it did say she wished things had been different. I read it once, folded it, and put it in the drawer with other things that used to matter. Brenna called. She thanked me. For not burning it down, she said. You could've. Yeah, I replied. But then I'd be one of you. She didn't argue. The best part? Sophie moved in full-time 2 months later. Dana and I agreed it was for the best. For stability, for consistency. For healing. One evening, we were sitting on the porch of the cabin, just me and her, eating microwave popcorn and watching the sun fall into the lake. Do you miss them? She asked quietly. Sometimes, I said. But not the way they were. She nodded, then leaned her head on my shoulder. I like it better here. It's quieter. Honest. I smiled. Me too.